morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us today. We are going to go to the Kingsley Plantation. We've been there once before, but it was in winter and it was windy and very cold. There's a cold wind blowing off of the river. So we thought we'd go check it out again now that it's a little warmer. We really appreciate you joining us. It's always more fun if we can take friends with us. So here we are. We remember this drive from the last time we came. This dirt road in front of us, and it's just a long drive.
It's much better in this car though.
Yeah. Last time, now we're driving the SUV. The last time we had just our regular sedan. And the road is so bumpy, even in this. And it's such a long road that we were wondering if we'd made a wrong turn, because it just seems to go on forever. And nothing really has been developed around here. It's just woods and a dirt road. Every once in a while you come across a sign that encourages you. Oh, look, a peacock. Well, let me see if I can zoom in. Hello. Oh, it has big iron gates.
Oh, that one's behind us.
So here we are. The little tabby houses. The last time we were here we didn't get to see in the house, it was closed. So not sure if we will get to see it this time or if we'll just get to walk the grounds again. But it was kind of miserable because of the cold wind and being right on the river. So we found ourselves a nice bench to sit on with this lovely picnic blanket that somebody had given Lisa for Christmas. So right on the river. I think we mentioned that a time or two because of the wind, but this day is much nicer. Look at these old trees. We're going to just sit down and eat a picnic for a little bit, and then we'll go tour the house. So, well, I'm going to sit here with my feet raised due to the snake that just slithered past. It was probably 4 or 5 feet long. But it wasn't brightly coloured, so hopefully that's okay. We've enjoyed a nice sandwich and potato salad, listening to the water lapping as it comes in after the boats pass by. There have been a lot of boats. This must be a central roadway for boats. Yes, I know it's not really a road. We've been struck by all the gopher tortoise holes since we've been here. A couple of big ones. This one's actually labelled not to disturb. Not that we had any intention of disturbing. The sign is bolted in. Apparently that gopher tortoise has been here a while. Oh, look. Here's the snake we just saw. It's a pretty big hole. There's another over here. Was this a U? Is anyone familiar with that? Can you tell me in the comments? This is pretty dead stump. It's quite amazing. It's huge. We're going to get started in what we think is the keeper's house. We're following this nice road that we kind of suspect is not original because of the rubber stuff in here, but it is nice and springy.
Follow the rubber mulch road.
The rubber mulch.
And here we're in the bookstore. They have some history that you can check out, learn about all the things. Oh, look, that's a horseshoe crab. Yes. Sea star. Is that a conch? That's a whelk shell. What's 14? Armadillo pelvic bone. What? Ooh, an angel wing shell. Oh, nice. And you can touch all of those things. Very cool. So we're going to check out the bookstore, see what we need to do for a tour. Well, we did a little bit of shopping. I got a companion guide to Kingsley Plantation. And there's a little birthday gift for my little nephew. His birthday's coming up this summer, and we got a puzzle for a friend. It's a mini puzzle of turtles. Super cute, and the pieces are just tiny. So we are gonna go put those in the car, and while we were in there, we downloaded the audio tour, and we're going to, well, not downloaded it, but used the QR code to get to the web page that has the audio tour on it on our phones. And then we're going to take that around, and hopefully at 2, we'll be able to go into the house and get the tour of the house. But first, a bathroom trip. So we're going to show you the restrooms as soon as the lighting comes up. Oh, that looks pretty nice. Look at those floors.
Looks clean.
Yeah, and there's lots of hooks out here. I don't know why they have hooks out here, but I guess when you're washing your hands, that's thoughtful. So we'll report back.
Bathrooms aren't exciting, but they're necessary, so it's good to know they were clean.
In 1798, John McQueen made the northwest portion of Fort George Island his home. The house was built with comfort in mind, each of the rooms using windows and fireplaces to capture the breezes coming off the Atlantic Ocean. The house at the north end will be in the course of a month a very comfortable habitation, and in any other country a handsome situation. You will come and see it shortly, I suppose. That was John McQueen Jr. to Eliza Ann McQueen in 1798. Not much is mentioned about the house again until the Patriots' War in 1812. On the Fort George Island plantation, the invaders burnt every building except the dwelling house, and they stripped the dwelling house to the extent of taking all the locks from the doors. That's from the East Florida Claims, the case of John McIntosh. Here are pictures of some of Zephaniah Kingsley's descendants. Apparently many descendants still live in the Dominican Republic. And it's really neat seeing these pictures. And there's this cool cutout from the wall that shows how it was made.
Cooking included more than simply chopping and rolling. Fresh chicken perlo, a stew-like mix of rice and chicken, would require killing, plucking, and dressing the chicken. Enslaved helpers, often children, would fetch pork from the smokehouse.
In this room, the walls and floor are made of tabby and oyster shell concrete. Tabby was fire-resistant and durable. It was ideal for a heavily used area like the kitchen. Tabby holds temperature well. Although warm on a cold, damp winter's day, this room was hot in the summer with the cooking fire blazing all day. Ahead of us is the stable. This is, of course, where they kept the horses. That's the normal place, normal thing you do with a stable. It's also the place where they kept the carriages and repaired them for that long drive that we came in on. As we walk over to look at the tabby cabins that were built, we've discovered a flock of peacocks. Oh, this beautiful, beautiful tail on this one. I don't know if you can see that. I wanted to get close, but I'm not sure how close they'll let us. Let me see if I can zoom in.
Looks like he hens and one peacock. There's halos. There's blue hens.
I wish he would display that. I'm sorry. I was bouncing it around because this moves so much when it's zoomed in. Here we are on the leaves, dried leaves, so of course they're making a noise. It's hard to creep up on them. They're just amazing. And loud, we can hear them. So we're thinking that the fine fellow with the tail has quite the harem. Here are the remains of the tabby cabins that were the homes of the slaves. It seems like they had about 1/4 of an acre of land where they lived and they could farm to earn money, to give their families extra food. It's not much of a life.
So these tabby cabins have been very useful for archaeologists to discover more of what life was like back in the day. It was like a treasure trove for them to find all sorts of useful information that hasn't been found in other slave quarters in other places. So that was really neat to read about. We were interested to see all of the slave cabins. That's the driver's cabin, and they restored it to an extent. And he was in charge of waking up all of the slaves for their day's work. All of the tabby cabins seem to be arranged in an arc, which they were saying was ended up being good for camaraderie and like a good social benefit for them, so that was good. And they also said all these trees were not here, and we were to imagine that there were garden plots here instead. All of the slaves could have their own garden plot. Well, we thoroughly enjoyed our tour of the I was going to say house, but we haven't actually seen the house yet. We're going to see that next. The slave cabins, the kitchen, the stables, and the audio tour that we had on our phone was really good. And I especially enjoyed their running theme of telling their story. And it's really important to hear their story. So come on out and visit so you can hear their story yourself. And now in a few minutes, we're going to hopefully get a house tour. This will be our first time inside the house, and we're excited.
Everybody's always noticing the stair first. The stair was
what's
probably the
that?
least original part of the house.
Oh.
So pretend that's not there.
I was noticing these lovely windows in the doors.
These windows were added when the stair was built. In fact, that guy was the last guy that owned it as a plantation. Bought it after the Civil War.
One of the original
So, again,
bedrooms.
this room was not here. That's how you got into the bedroom from the porch to that door.
Oh, okay.
And there were fireplaces here and here.
Oh, so they really changed the layout of this house. My word. That's a snazzy fireplace.
This was not here. It was all right to the other fireplace.
That would have been really open and big and
Yeah.
nice.
So was there an upstairs always?
There was an upstairs always. When this was first built, the owner then, a guy by the name of McQueen, was given the land by the Spanish governor in return for his assistance in helping to capture a British pirate who was raiding Spanish ships. This was Spanish territory. So at the time he was given this land, he was also appointed the magistrate of this area. So he was the chief of police, judge, all rolled into one. So the upstairs were 2 rooms that were used as jail cells. So originally the stairway was from the porch, just so in case any of the prisoners escaped, they still would not have access into the house.
This is a really pretty room. I like it.
So it was the fireplace here before?
No, the fireplace would have been right there.
Oh.
Okay,
So there would have been a fireplace here.
So this was,
Wow.
Interesting.
And this loom is not original to this particular plantation, but it came from St. Augustine, and it's original to the period, and they would have had their own loom here, not in this room in the house, but probably in the barn. And I'm so excited to see this. This is amazing, but he did tell me I'm not allowed to use it, so I'm not going to touch it. But it's so cool. Oh, I can touch all that stuff. Oh, and they have a little loom that you can mess with. Uh-oh. See, Mom's touching it, and now she's destroying it. Oh, this
Really interesting.
is this like raw? Oh, that is so soft. That's softer than Tommy's and Maya's hair. Oh,
Can you imagine
Lord.
taking the seeds out of
No,
it?
that would be a nightmare. I would not want to do that job, which should be why they got slaves, because they didn't want to do that either. Can you even get it? How on earth? You just have to rip it. Oh my word. Think of how many pounds a day they would have to do of that.
Wow.
Gracious. That's a really cool little loom right there. Where's the shuttle? Oh, here it is. I don't know how many you're supposed to go through. I don't think anybody knows because it looks like a big mess. Oops. Yes, not my new thing to do it out of cardboard. But I don't think I'm supposed to catch all the other stuff as well. That's kind of cool. Neato.
Yep.
I think that one would have been easier to use. Cotton, pick a bale of cotton. Isn't that an ABBA song? Do you know that song? Pick a bale of cotton. You can find that on the way home. So soft! I like it. Oh. So different to wool. So weird. Ooh, and here's the pods. Wow. She shall pick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel. Oh, and I saw somewhere else around the garden, I think, about indigo. They would make indigo dye here, but I was too lazy to get up and film the sign because it's too hot. So, very cool. Oh, it's the property of the Textile Arts Guild of St. Augustine, Florida, number 1. Pretty cool. Well, I am now underneath the little walkway at the house, and the guide was telling us that this coquina stone came from a Spanish mission that was about a mile away on the island, built in 1530s or something like that. And they took the stone a couple hundred years later when they were building the house from the mission over here, and this is coquina from St. Augustine that they brought here. And that's really neat. I mean, I'm sorry that the mission wasn't here anymore, but it was really cool that they reused it. There's a lovely lady.
Left it as ruins.
Right, now they would have left it as ruins and we would have been able to walk around and see it, but at least we know where it came from and we can still see it. Recycled, yes, and they recycled back in England too, because they robbed stone from a bunch of churches that we can't find anymore because they reused it in their houses. So yeah, no sense of the historic back then. And now we're gonna walk around the house. This is one of the 4 bedrooms that were on the edges of the house. The other bedroom is there, and we're gonna walk around and see all the bits that were added to it by some guy who didn't know what he was doing. This bit jutting out was not part of the original building. It was added to a couple hundred years later. Mom is in that bedroom, and the bedrooms did not have bay windows originally. They were just flat. But the original design of the house, this is one of the original bedrooms, sans the bay window, and they created a really nice breezeway, and there's a lovely breeze off the river. So this was the front door, and the door, we saw it earlier, super fancy window, that was added by that guy later, and he also chopped up the inside and added a stairway and cut the big room. This was one big room, the dining room and living room, and he chopped it in half and added a stairway upstairs. Upstairs used to be like the prison, and it had a separate entrance, but he added that inside stairway. And this is one of the other bedrooms that was original. And each of the bedrooms had their own little fireplace, and the big open room in the middle had a nice big fireplace on either side, and this space was not here. So there would have been a breezeway from that bedroom all the way through that open area, which is not open anymore, to the other bedroom. Oh, and that breeze is lovely right now. That would have been so nice. And we also learned that the fireplaces also created some air conditioning, so it was warm in the winter and then air conditioned in the summer. How cool is that? And here's that stairway that wasn't here, that dude added. It's really pretty, but it's nowhere near original to the house, and it really chopped up this space, because this whole area wasn't here and it was just one big open room. Oh, that would have been so cool. And then he actually realized later what he did in losing the air circulation, and added the bay windows. But isn't that a nice fireplace?
And this looks like one of the pillars outside.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we hope you enjoyed our trip to Kingsley Plantation. We sure did.
Thanks for coming with us. If you're in Florida, stop and visit. But meanwhile, we'd appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up, subscribe below, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.